Okay, welcome to our Sexpert Panel on Sexual Healing, hosted by Labology University and sponsored by Cal Exotics Adult Pleasure Products. They have a new line of healing products called Sheology and Theyology. My name is Tamara Bell. I'm a certified love coach and ambassador to students for Labology University. I am your moderator today with our esteemed panelists. Can each of you tell us a little bit about your work and your free gift for one or more of the attendees? We're going to start with my friend and mentor, Dr. Ava Cadell. She's a clinical psychologist, author, and founder of loveuniv.com. Dr. Ava, can you tell us about your work and your special gift?
Absolutely. So I'm a clinical sexologist, not a psychologist, but that's okay. You upgraded my credentials. Anyway, my work and my mission is helping people to overcome sexual guilt and shame so that they can experience the best sex of their lives. And I do this through my private practice as an ASEX certified sex counselor, as an author and speaker, and by training and certifying love and relationship coaches through Labology University, which is part of my legacy. But my free gift today is a 90-minute video called Sexy Sizes by Sexperts, Yin Yang Yoga for Intimacy, with 20 sexperts, including Dr. Kat Meyer. So you will see her demonstrating some partner poses that can really help to heal your relationships.
Okay, so next up we have Dr. Kat Meyer. She's a sex therapist, psychologist, and global speaker. So Dr. Kat, can you please tell us about your work and your gift?
Yes, of course. So my company is Sex Love Yoga. I'm a psychotherapist and I combine a lot of somatic type of therapy, including yoga as a way for us to be able to connect with our body, open the body, regulate the nervous system, which really helps us to have deeper, more intimate love lives and sex lives. I also lead workshops and international retreats and online courses around eroticism and around sensuality for us to be able to reclaim the relationships that we have with our bodies and with our sexuality. And for my gift, I am giving a free audio practice on how to discover your inner sex kitten. So it guides you 20 minutes of dropping into your body, moving with it, and really coming into more of a lively, vibrant sense of self that you can carry on into the rest of your life.
That's great. Okay, next up is Laurie Handlers. She's a Tantra teacher and intimacy coach. So Laurie, can you tell us about your work and your wonderful gift?
Thank you so much. Yes, I've been teaching Tantra for over 22 years, maybe, I don't know, 25 by now. I also am a best-selling author. And lately I've been focusing on sex and happiness over 60 for people over 50 who are stressed out about reaching 60, thinking they're going to lose their mojo. And I'm also a lead facilitator for ISTA, International School of Temple Arts. I teach sexuality, spirituality, and shamanism worldwide.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do
And
you have
she
a
has a
special?
gift.
Oh, my free gift, sorry. My free gift is going to be an ebook, which is a copy of my best-selling book, Sex and Happiness. It's the ebook version.
Great.
Yeah.
So next up, we have a graduate of Labology University, Jacqui Rubinoff. She's a certified love coach and entrepreneur. So Jacqui, can you please tell us about your work and your special gift?
Thank you. Yes, as Tamara mentioned, I'm a graduate of Labology University, relationship expert and love coach. I also create products to help people enhance their everyday lives. Our brand is called Eye of Love, and we make a variety of products to help people enhance their relationships and their sex lives. And my mission is just to help people create, connect, and spread love. And that's what we're here to do.
Great, great.
You have a gift as well, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. You have a gift. Thanks, Dr. Ava.
One of our pheromone jewelry pieces that we actually created with Dr. Ava Cadell. It's made with black lava rock, which is a porous stone. And when you spray it with our pheromones, it works as a fragrance diffuser. So you'll get a gift set that has a lava rock necklace with one of our pheromone perfumes in it.
Thank you. Okay, next is one of our first graduates from Labology University, Sabrina Jackson. She's a love coach and a sexological body worker. So Sabrina, can you tell us about your work and how it applies to healing and your special gift?
Yes, I help people have better sex and heal from trauma through being really present in their bodies, using consensual touch, education, and support. And I think all of those things are related to sexual healing. I'm also a somatic experiencing practitioner, so I work with people's nervous systems to help regulate their physiology. And I'm just, my mission is just to help people heal and grow and live beyond what is set to be a normative path, and just to be kind and enjoy each other. Thank you.
Great, great. Next up, we have Heather Montgomery.
What about my gift? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, forgot your gift.
I did. So I'm giving away a breathwork session. So these sessions are designed to invigorate and also to relax. You can use them while self-pleasuring, while receiving an erotic massage, or with your lover.
Good. So next up, we have Heather Montgomery. She's the founder and CEO of PleaseMe.com. So Heather, can you tell us about your organization and how it relates to healing and also your special gift?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tamara. PleaseMe.com is an affinity portal for sexual exploration. And I guess as a person who needed all of the coaches on this call a few years back, I really found it difficult to have access and things were being censored. So I wanted to create a place online where people had privacy and anonymity to explore their sexual pleasures and their relationship with themselves, sexuality, and their partners privately and anonymously in their own home. I came from health and wellness, so I worked with the physical side of health for over 15 years. And then I realized mental and emotional and relationship health really greatly impacted that so much that we had to address the whole triad. So I'm passionate about helping people live their best lives and letting sex be positive as opposed to a negative impact in their life.
Okay. And do you have a special gift?
Yeah, we do. Everybody's going to get a link to have a free 3-month VIP access. Please Me is free for all, but they'll have a souped up VIP access to our platform.
Nice. We have up next another one of our graduates, Alina Vergara. She's a certified love coach and founder of Ace of Hearts. So Alina, can you please tell us about your work and your special gift?
Yes, thanks, Tamara. Well, so my name's Alina Vergara, aka the Ace of Hearts, and I'm a certified love and intimacy coach and matchmaker whose driving force in life is the belief that all of our actions can be boiled down to 2 core motivators, fear or love. And whenever I'm presented with a choice, I aim to always choose love. which is why I was so excited to launch my company, Ace of Hearts, where I could help my clients and motivate them and inspire them in choosing and embracing love in whatever form that looks like for them. And I'm really excited about my gift because it's from my mother's company, actually, Luscious International. It's her own lubricant, sensual oil. And it's really incredible. It's all organic, coconut oil based, non-GMO, non-toxic, vegan, just really amazing, a really amazing product. And I'm extra proud of her because she actually created this product due to her own sexual healing journey after getting a double mastectomy and reconstructive surgery and hysterectomy due to the BRCA gene. And she overcame all the kind of, I don't want to say the disconnection with losing your womanhood and everything that comes from that. So I'm really proud of this product and I'm excited for you to try it because it's great.
Well, thank you so much. And last but not least, my good friends from the industry, Dr. Sadie Allison and John Renko. Dr. Sadie is a sexologist and author, and her partner John is a CBD scientist. So can you both tell us about your new venture and also your special gift?
Sure. I'll go first. Thanks, Tamara. I've been in the sexual wellness and pleasure industry for about 20 years now. I'd like to say I'm a sexual wellness entrepreneur, sexologist, and best-selling author. I also run a pleasure boutique called TickleKitty.com, where I curate all the toys and offer our following the cream of the crop and a wide variety of options to kind of suit every style and need. I've got 6 books that I've written. Ride 'em Cowgirl, Tickle His Pickle are a couple of them that actually are how-to guides that are illustrated. And I like to teach people how to embrace their sexuality and provide encouragement and empowerment so people can open up to themselves even more. And recently, a couple of years ago, we launched Go Love CBD Lube, which is a brand new product John and I created that's a water-based formula and a sexual wellness lubricant for women who suffer from pain, vaginal dryness, inflammation, and anxiety. So we're really excited about that new product. And our gift today is one of my books. It is actually in ebook format, and it's called The Mystery of the Undercover Clitoris. And so everybody will be getting a copy of that as well.
And briefly, I'm John, and I've had a tenured history in the Silicon Valley as an engineer and then a top shelf cannabis cultivator, atmospheric scientist, and then ultimately merged all these past experiences and knowledge into manufacturing, creating and manufacturing the Go Love product. So I've got a deep interest in cannabinoids, cannabis, how they operate and function on the body and the benefits they provide, and just wanted to make the highest quality product with therapeutic benefits to share with everyone. So
very nice. I love CBD. So now let's begin our discussion on sexual healing. I found an interesting quote from Eve Ensler, the founder of the Vagina Monologues, which said, I think Marvin Gaye's song, Sexual Healing, when I think about Marvin Gaye's song, Sexual Healing, what a radical ideal that sex can be healing. And I agree with both of them. So I would like to ask all of the panelists the same question. What does sexual healing mean to you? So we'll start with Dr. Ava.
So sexual healing to me means self-love, and that includes loving your body unconditionally and replacing any negative self-talk or feelings of shame or guilt with positive, loving, healing affirmations like my body is worthy of sexual pleasure, my sexual expression is beautiful, and my sexual pleasure is a gift that I can give to myself. And that can lead to greater self-esteem and healing of all types of sexual trauma.
So that same question for you, Dr. Kat.
Yeah, so I see sexual energy as the same as life force energy, this energy that moves us through and makes us live and vibrant. So when we are inhibited in one area, we're inhibited in the other. So the more that we can really tune into our sexuality and figure out what is blocking it, whether it's these cultural messages or traumas or past negative experiences, and really unlock those and really reclaim ourselves through them. I believe that it shows up how we move through life. You know, this energy that we move through the day with, liberated.
Okay, same question for you, Laurie.
Yeah, well, ditto to everything Ava said and ditto to everything Kat just said. I'll just add that I see sexuality as the portal to explore everything. Anything that happens to us when we're children or even before we're born makes some kind of a register in the body. And rather than talk through situations or problems that people have or blockages, I see it as the sexual arena as being the portal for healing everything and creating new neural patterns that allow us to have happiness in our lives, complete happiness in our lives.
Great. Okay, same question for you, Jacqui.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's about coming to terms and accepting your body, accepting your sexuality, accepting your past, and just being in the present and being able to be comfortable with yourself and your body. And yeah, I think it just comes down to being, comfortable with who you are and feeling okay with everything that you have done and have gone through.
Okay. So the next one up is Dr. Sadie and John.
Sexual healing to me is getting to a place where you can fully accept and embrace your body and your whole being, and having the courage to go on that journey. A lot of women and men have traumas as children, as someone had just mentioned, and really just kind of having the courage to take on that goal of healing what you need to heal and doing what you need to do. And it often starts with self-pleasure. My very first book, Tickle Your Fancy, teaches women and gives women permission, first of all, that it's okay to touch yourself and to have sexual pleasure. And once you can kind of get past that step, it's a world of an adventure ahead and lots of pleasure. So I always say sexual healing is a journey to get to that place where you're 100% comfortable with yourself and your partners.
I agree. Okay, so Sabrina.
Yeah, thank you. Sexual healing for me is the realization that even though sex is a biological need, people need coaching, including myself, and especially the traumatized population, on how to have sex in a way that's healthy. I see sex a little bit like eating. Anyone that's physically capable can certainly put food in their mouth, chew it and digest, but it doesn't mean it's going to be able to nourish your body. And so just like people seek out a nutritionist, I think it's important to realize that we need to seek out that education regarding our sexuality. And for me, I needed to find partners that supported my curiosity about the sensation in my body. And that allowed me to find agency and voice. And that is when my personal healing really took off.
Great. Next is Alina.
Yeah, a few things came to mind. I definitely think feeling safe in your own body and respected and grounded, and also that sense of self-love, as Dr. Ava and many of you have said, feeling that you are worthy of receiving and receiving love, and you feel safe and respected in that process. And I also think there's something to be said about healing the ancestral lines of sexual trauma, especially with women throughout history, society. And then another big one for me is like the Marvin Gaye song, where sexuality in itself and embracing sexuality is a form of healing. Touch is healing. Dance is healing. Tantric yoga. There's so many elements of sexuality and intimacy that can be so incredibly healing.
Great. And lastly, Heather.
Well, I'm going to go in a completely different direction. And not that I don't 100% agree with everything that everyone said. And that was definitely part of my journey. But I'm going to talk about physiological sexual healing. And that is that when oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine are released in our bodies, they reduce anxiety, they reduce stress, they improve cardiovascular function, they help you sleep. It's a natural pain reliever. And so when we go long stints of time without having an orgasm or a release of these critical hormones in our body, we get ill and diseased. And it is incredibly healing physically to have regular orgasms and release. So agreed on I had trauma. I've had many things that prohibited me from having those orgasms. So I couldn't get the physical sexual healing that my body needed. But I think we would be regressive our duties if people didn't really understand there's a physiological side to this that is critical for aging and for our well-being mentally and physically.
That's great. Thank you. So I think sexual healing has been looked at by many as negative, and they feel that there's no recovery from it. So Dr. Ava, this question is from me. Your 7-hour course on healing is so incredible and has helped heal most of your students in ways that they were not expecting. What motivated you to write this extensive course on healing for Labology University?
Well, Tamara, my original inspiration for creating the healing course was my negative upbringing. I was programmed that sex was evil and you should never touch yourself, you should never kiss a boy. And I grew up very, very confused. And I'm sure everybody's heard of the quote, "We teach what we need to learn," by Richard Bach, author of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And it's true. But another motivation that a lot of people don't know about was when I went to Thailand with Dr. Kat Meyer, and we did a healing retreat for women. We facilitated lots of different exercises for the mind, body, and spirit connection. And one of the techniques was a body image technique where we asked the attendees to tell us about a part of their body that they really disliked. And then I told them to find a positive anatomical feature of their body part that they didn't like. So for example, many women said that they didn't like their stomach area. And when I told them to focus on the stomach function, they started to show more gratitude. They understood that, the stomach digests the food and nourishes them. And they were able to look at that part of their body with new eyes and then gain greater acceptance and really more love for their body. So I created the healing course for coaches to help survivors, to help heal from loss and abuse and pain and even toxic relationships. And it's filled with lots of holistic loving solutions, such as the one that I just described, but hence that's why it's more than 7 hours long. But I'm very proud of it. I think it's the best course that we have on Labology University right now.
I agree with that. So Dr. Kat Meyer, did I say that wrong?
No, you got it.
Oh, I did. Okay. So Dr. Kat, what happens to the brain and body when it has experienced trauma? And how does this impact sex?
Yeah, so when we go through trauma, the body is picking up cues from our environment and it's labeling it as something that's safe or something that's dangerous. And this is called Neurosception. So when we hit a specific threshold of what we can tolerate of some of these more like dangerous or threat or stressful cues, then the brain can strike a discord and the body can release, or the nervous system can shift into a sympathetic system, which is a fight or flight response. And that's in order to release all these stress hormones so that we can either run away or fight whatever the threat is. But sometimes we can't fight or run away. So our body will go into a freeze, or it might go into a disconnect or disassociate, which is a disconnect from the experience. We might go a little fuzzy, or we might, the experience might go blurred, or we might just completely disconnect from the experience in order to protect us. We're just not present. So in both of these cases, the logical reasoning and the language structures of the brain both shut off in order to favor survival. Like we don't necessarily want to stop and think about how we're going to talk to the tiger. We just want to get out of there. So in this moment, the memory is put into the brain in fragments. And this is based on how our five senses are experiencing the trauma in that time while it's occurring. And that's why after trauma, the brain can be triggered by specific objects that remind us of something that was present during the trauma, during that particular moment. And it displaces it to the now here, or it might read normal circumstances that are here as something that's dangerous. Or it might perceive that the past event is happening right now. The brain and the body have a difficult time with designating this timeline of experiences. So it all just kind of like happens all at once when it gets activated. So we might get a startle response. This is where we might have flashbacks. We might freeze up. All of our emotions, the fear, the embarrassment that we have associated with this event is then retained in the brain and in the visceral experience of the body that make it so that it's very alive in this present moment. I once had a mentor tell me that the issues are in our tissues. Our issues stay in our tissues. So in order to move past the traumatic experience, we have to focus on rebuilding the connection between our mind and our body. So learning how to concentrate on the feeling, the individual feelings of the body, help us learning through practices like mindfulness or yoga or somatic therapy or working with a sexological body worker, to be able to help us to reactivate this self-sensing system so that we can notice what's happening in the body, feel it as it's alive, and to be able to regulate our own selves or ask for help in regulating so that it doesn't override our system and keep perpetuating this loop. And, yeah. So and just to answer that last question, how this relates to our sexuality, like if we're somebody who's experienced sexual trauma or even some past traumatic experiences where, small t trauma, say our grandma walked in while we were touching ourselves when we were 5 and our grandma was like, don't touch yourself. And we're like, and it just like triggers, activates our body. We tense up and we're like, okay, that was bad. Don't do that again. And so moving forward, we carry these visceral sensations in with us. And we feel this the body from that tension, armor up. We hold this tension in our fascia even into today. So we wonder why we struggle with connecting with our partner. Why can't we have a synchronized movement with them? Why are we clumsy? Why do we freeze up when somebody initiates sex to us? And all of that is coming from the past. So it isn't until we work with somebody to be able to help us to recognize what some of these blocks and barriers are, and to help us to really move through it somatically, that we can come out on the other side more empowered, more able to self-regulate, control these experiences, allow ourselves to feel so we can move through it. Yeah, for better connection.
Great. Laurie, in your experience, how does sexual healing relate to overall healing in a person?
Well, it's I'll piggyback off what Kat said and Ava said. It's really the key to everything. It seems to me that the powers that be, or whatever, religion or politics or kingdoms, whatever, knew that if we were connected, mind and body, we wouldn't be able to be so controlled. But if they could separate us and say, everything from below my neck is sinful and I need to be ashamed of it, and my parents reinforced that by saying, don't touch yourself, or my grandma said that to me, or whatever, then I would start feeling ashamed. I would start feeling small. I would start feeling like I have issues, like I'm insecure, like nobody likes me, like my breasts aren't the same as other people's, or maybe I am too much, or maybe I'm too little, all of these things are disempowerments that come along with feeling disconnected from mind and body. If this is the only thing they value, then if I don't get A's in school, everything else is valueless. So the overall empowerment is by this integration, by all the techniques and all the methods that people here are speaking about. Even if one has things happen in their body, like was described before with somebody who had things going on in their body where they invented lube so that they could overcome all of this. It's so important to be integrated. And the reason I always speak about sex and happiness, like I think they go hand in hand. If somebody tells me they're not having sex, I'm like, yeah, how's that working for you? Like, how happy can you be if no energy is running through your body? Sexual energy is the vital life force. It has to run through our bodies, no matter what our age is, no matter what we've deemed it to be shameful. We need to release that so that we really can be happy. And we can actually, I mean, I take it a step further, which is to just say, I use my orgasms to create what I'm creating in the world. I don't believe that there should be any wasted orgasms. I think they should be connected to my goals and my mission and my values. And so when I'm having an orgasm, I say, this is what I'm creating next. This is what I want next. But one has to feel the connection first before they can actually use that, and the things come almost instantly because it's powerful. And it has to do with power. I'm just underlining that. We were taught the separation so that we could be disempowered, and we're getting back to the connection to make us powerful and not afraid of anything. So I'll stop there. I'm complete.
That's amazing. Sabrina, as a body worker, what advice do you have for someone who is suffering from sexual trauma?
First of all, I would say remember that healing is not linear, and to be patient and gentle with yourself. And for those who are suffering from sexual trauma, I feel that they need to replace the thoughts, feelings, and dysregulated physiology of their nervous systems with experiences that allow them to override those unpleasant sensations. And so what does that mean? It means that an incredibly slow and titrated approach to touch is necessary. I think it's important for people, first and foremost, to learn how to say what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and how can we make this feel better. So a good first step is to start touching people in simple places like their feet or their hands or places that don't hold a lot of trauma. And this way people can start to build capacity for touch. And sometimes this can be done with your romantic and intimate partner, and sometimes it can't. And it doesn't mean that you have a crummy partner. It just means that some of the work on this journey has to be tended to with somebody else.
Great. Jacqui, as a love coach, how have you helped clients heal themselves or their relationship?
Mainly, I've helped people that have gone through breakups and have dealt with, shame or guilt or things that they felt like done in relationships. And I've just helped them come to terms with the fact that it's not them, it's not personal. It's really learning to love themselves and know that they deserve better and that they are worthy of love and that they don't deserve to be treated in any negative way. So it's really I just help them focus on their self-esteem, on their confidence, on making them feel good about themselves and just giving them the courage and the strength to go on and continue and to find that next person and not to, revert back to their old ways or to kind of just throw in the towel and say that they're not worthy. So I just really help them focus on their confidence and empowerment.
Great, great. Alina, we have a viewer asking, Jonathan, he's asking how, he's saying, I feel guilty for not wanting to have sex with my partner anymore. What should I do?
I'm struck by the word guilty. I think with a lot of guilt, guilt compounds into shame, and shame compounds into mental, physical, emotional illness. So I think it would be really helpful to, well, try to eliminate it, right? I know it's easier said than done, but that's if sex is a boundary for you, where you're not willing to have sex, that's okay. That's your boundary. You're entitled to that. And just making sure that, you communicate that with your partner, and then you guys can decide what you want to do from there and how you each need to get your needs met. But I'm going to assume, if you're asking this question, that you want to maybe find attraction to your partner. And I think the most important thing to do is to find the root of, well, why is that a lack of attraction there? Why is that lack of desire there? It can be so many different things. It could be maybe you're on a medication, or, for women, certain birth controls affect your attraction and hormone levels. If you're, let's just say there is like maybe an infidelity in your relationship, that could cause a lack of feeling safe and a lack of respect and a lack of trust, and all those things affect your desire for your partner. So I think it's really important to find the root and then communicate with your partner as much as possible. And if you need to see a sex therapist or one of these amazing coaches or myself, we would be more than happy to help. I also think if it's just a matter of you're just not feeling it, and you maybe just want to just go for it, I think that there's an element of, love sometimes requires sacrifice and compromise. And if you love your partner, and sex is a love language to them, maybe you can adjust your perspective a little and see it as, okay, well, I'm going to view it as maybe going to the gym or something, where maybe I don't necessarily want to go to the gym all the time, but when you're there, it feels amazing. And you have the endorphins, the rush, and it's healthy for you. So you can try to view the health benefits of it. But it is probably deeper than that. And it's probably there's a reason why you're not feeling that attraction. And I think it's important to find that. And then we can find solutions, right? You can take it slow. You can do different sex acts instead of just sex. You can open up your marriage. Like, there are so many options, but in order to find them, you have to find that root.
Okay. So Heather, this is another question from a viewer. Angel wants to know, how do shame and judgment affect our sexual health?
Wow. I was just going to talk about shame and judgment. So there's a map of consciousness by David R. Hawkins, where he rates on a scale of 1 to 1,000 what different emotions emit energy. And guess what's at the very, very, very bottom for 20 points? And that's shame. And its view of life is miserable. And then the next one up is guilt, and its view of life is evil. And then the next one is apathy and grief, and then fear. And they're all under 100 points. Love is 500, joy is 650, and enlightenment is 700 to 1,000. So how does it affect your life? Every which way possible. In your work, in your intimate relationship, in your feelings about yourself and your self-esteem, how you treat your children, whether you wake up in the morning and want to go back to bed or get up. I mean, it's just about everywhere. And so I think for me, what was really important in my journey of how to get past that was that I didn't want to talk about those things. So having a private place where I could start to get comfortable and interact with other people that were experiencing maybe similar things, so I don't feel so alone, and maybe start to hear the stories about how they got out of those things, or what was the origin. I loved what she said earlier, is you have to get to the core root of any problem in order to really eradicate it, whether that's health, physical or emotional health. It's really the same. You don't want to just take a pill from a pharmaceutical company and treat a symptom. You want to get to the root and find out, where is that shame and guilt coming from? So number one, you don't deserve to feel shame or guilt. And Laurie Handler's nailed it, as she always does, about the empowerment in life and why they want us disassociated with our sexuality and staying in those levels. So I think that we're in a place in the world where we get to look at that and decide if we're going to move forward and get connected and powerful, or if we're going to stay controlled and subservient.
Okay. Dr. Sadie and John, how does CBD Lube work to help women who are experiencing painful sex?
Well, CBD is cannabidiol. It's one of the many cannabinoids in the cannabis plant, and it's got several wonderful properties. First and foremost, it's non-psychoactive like THC is. And so it's not as regulated, it's more available. And there's several modes of interaction that are really beneficial for women and for sex. And it centers around pain, anxiety, and inflammation. Those are kind of the three prongs that CBD helps a great deal with. We have an endocannabinoid system in our body. CBD interacts with those receptors. There's a variety of elements in terms of getting it into the body and making it bioavailable. So we've made our water-based lubricant that contains CBD called Go Love. And because the vaginal mucosa is very absorbent, and you have a water-based formula which can pass that membrane more easily than other oils or silicones, you get the CBD into the body where it can help. And I kind of view inflammation as the root of all evil. And CBD interacts with the inflammatory process in the body. It affects how much adenosine we have in our body, which is our body's natural way to lower inflammation. And CBD helps elevate adenosine. So it kind of works hand in hand with the body's natural process to dial down the inflammation. When you start to reduce inflammation, you start to reduce pain, you have more comfortable sex. The other piece that I'd put in there is if you have anxiety around sex and intercourse or pain, for whatever reason, we talked about a variety of reasons from your childhood, pelvic floor disorders, maybe it's dryness, whatever. You have anxiety around sex. And so if you're going to have something that helps reduce that anxiety, you kind of get out of that negative feedback loop. And that's that other area that CBD helps with is anxiety. It interacts with GABA receptors in the body. And I wouldn't say it's light. I'm not going to say it's as strong as Valium because it's not, but it has that same kind of effect as Valium. And that's even why you see things like Valium suppositories and things like that. So this would be a natural alternative to provide similar anti-anxiety response in the body. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, I guess.
Okay, great. So we have a few questions from some viewers. Sabrina, Vicky says that I'm in a long distance relationship and I masturbate regularly. The problem is I can only get fully turned on and have an orgasm if I'm watching porn, and it has been bothering me. What can I do to regain my ability to get turned on and orgasm without watching porn?
Vicky, that's a great question. And there are three main ways that people self-pleasure. One is through external cues like pornography, so you're certainly not alone. Another way is internal cues such as imagery, fantasy. And the third way is through sensate focus, which is focusing on the sensations in your body and allowing that to drive your arousal. I think it's important to use all three, or it's nice to use all three. So the good news is that our brains are very plastic and we can create new pathways for pleasure. So this is what I suggest, and it takes a little bit of practice and patience, but it's really worth it. So turn on your pornography, and you want to start to self-pleasure until you reach about a 5 on your pleasure scale, 10 being orgasm and 1 being not very aroused at all. When you reach about a 5, close your screen and continue to self-pleasure. Now, probably your arousal is going to decrease, and that's okay. But the goal is to keep the arousal at 5 and then to eventually build up. So once the arousal drops down, you can open back up your screen, start to self-pleasure again until you build that arousal level to 6. and then shut the screen down, self-pleasure, and you're going to basically do that sequence of events until you reach orgasm. Now, the thing is, just like yoga or gymnastics or anything that takes practice, this also requires practice to build those new neural pathways. So I recommend that people practice this on most days to achieve the results that you're looking for. Thank you.
Great information. Dr. Kat, a viewer has a question for you. What are some key tips for creating safety in sex after you've experienced trauma?
Yeah. So I would start with the relationship with your body. So really coming into being more affectionate with your body, tuning into what you're noticing in the body, because again, when we go through trauma, there can be a disruption in the mind-body connection. So we really want to practice noticing, and noticing is that subtle cues of what's going on in your body. And that can give us knowledge to how we can be with the body and what we need in order for the body to feel safe enough to be able to open up or relax. It's also important to be able to reduce the stress that's going on in our environment or in our lives, because if there's stressors that are occurring, then this will decrease the window of what we can tolerate, which it doesn't really matter if we're doing all these tools or we're doing the yoga or the therapy, it still makes us more vulnerable to getting dysregulated. So it's important to see what stresses can I eliminate? What can I reduce here, or at least mitigate the effects of it? And then also letting go with the false ideas of how sex is supposed to work and creating space for how sex actually works for us. So what is it that I need to have in place? Do I need to take penetration sex off the table for a bit to explore different types of sex that are more touch-oriented or more energetic-oriented? Do I need to be the one that initiates sex? Is there specific styles of initiation that my partner does that make me activated? Or are there styles of initiation that shut me down, or ones that might be more accessible or more supportive of me? Do I need to have clarity around the state of this relationship in order for me to feel safe enough to let go and open? Do I need to have more time and touch in order to build up the state of arousal before anything else happens? Do I need to, checking in with ourselves. So thinking of consent as living for our own selves, checking in before you go into any sort of activity. Does this feel okay with what I'm about to do? What do I need in order for me to feel safer? Does this continue to be something that I want to do? Does this continue to feel good for me? Or is there something that I need in order to feel safer? Or even after, did this feel good for me? Was there something that I could have placed in there, or that I could have done or said, or they could have supported me in a different way that would have allowed me to open or be more receptive and feel safe? And then finally, learning the skill of boundaries and learning the ability to not only know what it is that you need, what your bottom line is, but also knowing what the difference between an edge and a boundary is. So a boundary is a hard line of this is how much I'm willing to give or lean in, or go into, and then no more. And if we cross that, it can feel almost like a self-betrayal. You know, on the other side of that, we feel like, oh, we might feel yucky or guilty in our body. An edge is a point that we can lean into. It's like a point of negotiation. It might be uncomfortable, but we're not self-sacrificing to do that. So I can lean into my edge and still be connected with myself, still feel integrity with myself, even if it's uncomfortable. And I think this lends to what Sabrina was saying, titrating, moving slowly, adding bits and pieces at a time so that you're building the self-trust. You're establishing the confidence that you can take care of yourself, that you can speak up for yourself, which oftentimes in trauma can be really damaged.
Okay.
Can I?
Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to is it okay if I add something to that response?
Sure. Yes.
Great. I just wanted to suggest to people something I do with my partner every single time. And we've been together 6 years, and we do this every time we're intimate. We make a bubble around ourselves and around ourselves and each other. And inside of the bubble, we ask each other desires, fears, and boundaries. So that creates a shamanic energy center that keeps the rest of the world out and keeps us in this safe place, in this safe bubble. And inside of that, we have that conversation. What are we consenting to? What do we want to have happen right now? And I don't know, it's just something I taught him on the first night we were ever intimate, and we do it every time. And it's like, it's pretty hot. So I just wanted to add that.
May I also just third that? I love the idea that even though somebody's been with a partner for 6, 10, 5 years, 2 months, to always be asking what are the boundaries, because they can change day to day. That is so great. Like, well said. Yeah.
Great. So Dr. Sadie, Mary wants to know, can using CBD products in the bedroom help you to be less inhibited?
Oh, absolutely. As John was mentioning earlier, CBD is a natural anti-anxiety, and a lot of women prefer this because it's a plant-based medicine, and it does have those therapeutic benefits. In speaking with so many men and women through my career, sadly, a lot of people have body image issues, performance issues. Am I going to orgasm tonight? Am I going to be able to give her or him or her an orgasm? They usually get there. So both men and women suffer from this. And when they use our CBD lubricant, Go Love, they're able to relax a little bit instead of, say, having a glass of wine. 5 in 7 women say that they like to have a drink before sex because it helps loosen them up. So CBD is a natural way to actually kind of get to that point where you're a little more comfortable, you can relax and open up to enjoy yourself. And it's been amazing, the feedback we've gotten here. I'll show you. This is our Go Love CBD Lube. And I also encourage just for people to use lubricant in general. It's a lot more mainstream, but it had a bad rap for a long time where women would feel ashamed if they were using lubricant or they didn't produce enough natural moisture. I know a lot of people would have this vision of seeing men using it in pornography, and that made some women feel like it wasn't for them. So I'm glad to see now that people are accepting and embracing that lubricant is a natural thing that a lot of women need. And especially in middle age, menopause, almost half of women get vaginal dryness because of lower estrogen production. And sadly, 3 in 4 women experience painful sex today, and that's called dysperonia. That's the clinical term. But whether that be from hormonal issues, vaginismus, vaginosis, endometriosis, there's dozens of conditions that it's not talked about enough, but it's starting to be, which I'm really happy to see. But using CBD has been really helpful for women to reduce pain as well as the anxiety that they're feeling.
Great. Dr. Ava, I saw an article that you wrote about how adult toys can help sexual healing. Can you tell us how that's possible?
Yes, so after sexual abuse, it's not uncommon to disassociate from your own body as a survival technique, really, which can leave you feeling completely numb to any form of sexual stimulation. And sexual abuse is about control, because abusers exert control over their victims, and they take away that sense of personal power and freedom that we've all been talking about, replacing it with feelings of weakness and even fear. So the stepping stones to sexual healing are different for everybody, but I have actually recommended Go Love CBD Lube and sex toys as a powerful way to turn back on your desire button. So using sex toys can give you that sense of freedom. And when you make the kind of love to yourself that you want in order to heal, they can become a valuable therapeutic tool. And some sex toys can even help to regain that sense of personal power, because they literally put the control back into your hands. So when you use a sex toy, you are the only one who has a say in how and when it's going to be used. And there are lots and lots of pleasure products meant specifically for healing, actually, such as our sponsor today, Cal Exotics. They have a line of Sheology pleasure products, and you can use them to build like an affirmative relationship with your body again, to own your sexual pleasure and satisfaction. So, for example, if you do suffer from vaginismus, which we were just talking about, Sadie was explaining that it causes the pelvic muscles to involuntarily contract during penetration, and that results in pain. So you might want to use something like this. It's a 5-piece wearable vaginal dilator set, and you can use it with any lube, but I would recommend you use it with Go Love Cbd Lube if you've never tried it, because it does help to relax you. And then the graduated set has been created to rejuvenate vaginal muscles. So of course, you're going to begin with the smallest dilator, and then you're going to go up to the more advanced, larger probes. So some women also have reported that finding their G-spot with a vibrator like this one, called Insatiable G by Cal Exotics, gives them permission, yes, permission to take responsibility for their own pleasure and orgasm, which is a healing experience. And then finally, I want to show you this toy as well, because there are other sexual abuse victims who prefer to use non-phallic looking toys that are completely void of male influence. And this is how they discover self-love, through self-pleasuring. And this is called My Pod Massager. It's for external pleasure, perhaps on the clitoris or any other erogenous zone. So yes, in a nutshell, I believe that sex toys can help you to heal.
Great. Well, I want to thank you to our sponsor, Cal Exotics. They are the founding, they are one of the founding companies in the adult pleasure products industry, and creates toys that are affordable, beautiful, and for everyone. One lucky raffle winner is going to win a Cal Exotics gift pack. So Dr. Ava, can you pick the winner from our attendees?
Oh, sure. Hold on. And the winner of the Cal Exotics basket of pleasure products is Christy Balsillie. Balsillie. So congratulations, Christy. Thank you for joining us today on this amazing panel.
And that brings us to the end of our panel discussion on sexual healing. Thank you to our panel for your stimulating answers we can all learn from. Dr. Ava, Dr. Kat, Laurie, Jacqui, Sabrina, Alina, Heather, Dr. Sadie, and John. And thank you to Cal Exotics for sponsoring our panel of Sexperts. Finally, we want to thank all of you who are attending and watching us. We will be back next month with a new Sexpert panel, a new topic, and new gifts. So we hope you'll be there to join us. Until then, live to love and love to live.